Amazing. Court is over, Trish. I'm so happy for you. I know that has been a burden that has been weighing, right? Oh, it's just so good once you have some closure and you can sort of step forward a little bit. So I'm so thrilled to hear that for you. All right. Well, as we begin a new week, I think, Mondays are always a good time for a fresh start and a reset. And I know that last week we kind of had this slower start into the whole topic of mindset because I think it really is so vast. Like there's so many things that we can tackle as we begin to move through this. And so I'm excited, doing these calls every day gives us the opportunity um, to just take a different perspective on different angles of our life. And so I'm excited for that. But I think understanding mindset and setting a really strong foundation is super crucial as we go into this. Like, what even is our mindset? And I know I shared with you guys that I really actually enjoy um, geeking out, I guess, on like some of the information when it comes to psychology. So my background was in teaching, and I think psychology is what I loved the most when I was going through school and understanding how kids' brains work and our minds learn. And so as we kind of step into this, we need to understand that we actually have the ability to change our brain, to rewire our brain. And so we talked about that a little bit last week. But I think this morning we'll talk a little bit more about ways to rewire your brain, right? And so I mentioned neuroplasticity, and I told you the story of my cousin's baby who we were told that he would never be able to do certain things because of the brain damage that happened when he had a heart attack at 2 weeks old. And realizing that, we didn't have to accept that. And I started researching more about the brain in that point in time. I remember I just couldn't sleep, staying awake with him overnights in the hospital and just praying for him and, asking God to show me like, was this really his fate, what the doctors were saying? And so as I began to understand a little bit more about like neuroplasticity of our brain, it was really incredible to understand how our brains work. And so I guess my question for you this morning is, what if I told you that you have the power to rewire your brain for success? Is that something that you believe and you know that that can be true? Um, does your brain immediately say like, no, like I rewire my brain, like I don't have the ability to do that? I hope that you are in a place where you believe it. Oh my gosh, Nakia, I'm just seeing God provided me a new job and a new house. I'm so excited. Now I can focus on normalcy in this biz too. I'm so happy for you. Amazing, amazing. Okay, well, I'm glad that you guys believe it, because it's 100% true. And I wanted to share with you, I think everybody here probably knows Jim Carrey, right? And it was really interesting in an interview that he did. He talked about how he visualized his success and he wrote himself, does anybody know this story already? He wrote himself a $10 million check for acting services way before he ever became famous. Okay. And I want you guys to drop in the chat, drop me a 5 if you have a dream board, if you have an active and new recent dream board, something maybe at the beginning of this year you stopped and did. I know for launch, our team got together. Yeah, it was for $10 million, Orlando. And so if you have written yourself a dream board, I have written dream boards in the past where I've actually put a check on the dream board for what I wanted my monthly income to be, and different things like that. So I love it. Love it. It's in my face every day. I know. I've had to put mine in in my closet for now because we have some things going on at the house. But I'm like, I need to look at that every day. And so I will say the most powerful place that you can have your dream board is in your bedroom. It's actually right beside your bed. And if you make that the last thing you look at before you go to sleep and the first thing you look at when you wake up in the morning, there are some really interesting facts about how our brains work and how we're kind of imprinting that. And it becomes something that we change our level of expectation because we've seen it all the time. And it's the same reason why you should journal in the whole, I am so grateful and thankful that, as if it's already happened. That's why visualization is picturing what your life looks like in that moment once it's happened. Love that. Yes, absolutely. I have one like this on my phone as well. And so I think it's really powerful. And um, I want to know, if you don't have a dream board, what is your excuse for not having one, right? There's probably been a moment where you contemplated it and you thought about it. And then what's holding you back? Why did you not do your dream board? Yeah, there's really no reason to make excuses anymore, but I know we had a lot less fives of people that said I've got my dream board than people who didn't answer. So, I want you guys to feel comfortable to be honest and to be open because I think that we have the biggest breakthroughs when we're real. And it's easy to be like, oh, I'm just not going to say anything, and they'll just assume I have a dream board, right? Like, let's work through, why do we not have a dream board? What is it that's holding us back, right? Maybe we need to write write things down a little bit more. If I didn't go to the retreat, I don't know if it would be fine right now. Well, that's it, right? It's like sometimes we need to put ourselves in an environment where we actually do it. It always seemed a little cheesy. Hey, right, Trish? I totally understand and get that. I think it's true. It's like our brain tries to tell us all the reasons why we shouldn't. And it's for fear of failing. I love your vulnerability, guys, because absolutely, I think that's it. Is that we make up all these excuses like, oh, we don't really need to do that. Like, and I've had so many times in my life where I was like, oh, well, I know what my dreams are. I don't need to write them down. But there is so much statistical evidence about the power of writing things down and the power of visualization and just like thinking into results is really what it is, right? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. But when you make a dream board and you write things as if these are going to be yours, you're right about that. And so it's amazing. My first year, when I started in multi-level marketing, that was like the first time that I ever made a dream board. And we actually made a really cheesy video, if you want to talk about cheesy. And we posted it on YouTube, and then we posted it on Facebook, and we posted it everywhere. It was my husband and I. And we claimed all these like big, hairy, audacious goals. And guess what? That year, we made every single thing happen. I've been wanting to do a dream board and haven't made time for it. That's it, right? It's like we have to carve out the time and we have to see the value in it. So, biblically as well, write it down and make it plain. Yes, Habakkuk tells us that. And it's so powerful. It's funny that interestingly in the Bible, it actually says, write the vision, make it plain, write it in big block letters on the wall so people can see it on the run. I think that's like the Message translation. But anyways, it was really interesting to me when I started thinking about that. Like, write your vision in big block letters on the wall so people can see it as they're running by, And it's like, imagine how inspiring it is to other people when they can see you setting goals and dreams and they can decide to pattern after that. But especially when you can go first and you can share what it is that you've been through. And it was really interesting. I don't know, some of you guys are on our team call that we had last night, but we went through and we were talking about the power of going to convention with our company. And so it's just really interesting when you look and see how much things can change in a year because you put yourself in an environment where you allow yourself um, to see your success in someone else, to see your dreams written down as if they're a real thing. And it's really, really powerful. And so this whole, story about Jim Carrey, I think struck me too, that it was his visualization, his affirmations of believing that was going to happen and that check was going to be his. And so maybe you need to stretch yourself a little bit more. And if you were to write yourself a check, what is your dream check? Maybe you guys could just share that in the chat. What would be your dream check? Have you ever allowed yourself to think about it? Remove the barriers of like, oh, well, I don't really think I'm capable of that. If you could have anything you wished of, if you looked at someone else in this business and you thought, I know I heard that they did it, I can do it. Like your brain will still stop you at some point. So what would that dream be? $7,000 to $8,000 a month. Love that. You are absolutely going to surpass that, Suze. But what would that dream be? I'll tell you guys, I met one of the leaders, and her name is totally escaping me right now. Somebody else might know. But we went to Mexico in November, and there was a girl there who went from national director to national nine in 1 month. 1 month. Okay. It was like absolutely nuts. I want to say, oh no, I'm totally gonna like give her the wrong. I feel terrible that I can't remember her name. Anyhow, but Brittany McLaughlin. Yes, thank you. But I was like, I know, I'm just like right there. Brittany McLaughlin. Guys, so we met her in the hallway, and it was her and her husband, and I was with my husband, who is like, was still very skeptical. And we meet her in the hallway, and she's like, they announced it at our closing, reception, and national nine. I was like, oh. So I bump into them in the hallway. I'm like, what do you think your check is going to be? And she's like, so far, what we've calculated is $360,000 for 1 month. Right. And it was this like stretching moment for me because I know people that have made $100,000 a month, which is still crazy, but believing that that was possible, and then to hear that number, and I was like, you just blew my top of the line goal like out of the water. I'd never even imagined making more than 100,000, multiple $100,000 in a month, right? But once you know that it's possible, you know that it's possible for you. And so it's important that we surround ourselves with people where we can allow ourselves to stretch. And I absolutely love our team does a check opening call. And I love it because when you hear the stories of what's possible and what people are going through, and yet the check they made possible, right? It's incredible. And so I just think that the more we can write things down, it's super incredible what's going to come out of that. So Jim Carrey writing this check for $10 million. What if you wrote a check to yourself for however many 100,000 million dollars? And I also learned that if you tape that check to your ceiling and you make that the last thing you look at before you go to bed and the first thing when you wake up, you are creating a new reality and a new possibility for yourself where your brain starts to expect to see that number. And so it actually expects it to show up in your bank account at some point in time. So I think that is a really incredible thing that we can do to take ourselves one step closer. So our brain is not fixed. We talked about this. And so we can, through the neuroplasticity of our brain, we can actually create new thought patterns. We can tell ourselves a new narrative. And so the goal is that just at the end of our conversation today, that you'll understand that you can, and maybe even how to reprogram your brain and apply those strategies that we're going to talk about to your journey here as an entrepreneur, as you build your business, as you build the life that you want. So what neuroplasticity is it's actually the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural pathways, right? New neural pathways in your brain. And so when we repeat the same thoughts and we repeat the same actions, it actually strengthens those neural pathways. And so we deepen our belief, we deepen our confidence the more that we do it. And that's why visualization is so important, because you're allowing yourself to physically see it as if it's happened, and you're imprinting this on your brain. Now, I will say equally, negative patterns can be rewired into positive, success-oriented patterns where you are going to, what you think about, you bring about. So you think negative things, you're going to bring that about in your life. And I know that none of us would want that. If any of you are mothers and you heard your child saying a negative statement to themselves, does that like rise up mama bear in you? Like, don't speak to yourself like that. That's not true, you know? And so, how often do we say things like that to ourselves, though? You know, we put those limits and those lids on ourselves and we tell ourselves, I can't do that. Well, it's not for me. I'm not capable. I don't have time. All the excuses that we make in our life actually become a pattern that we start to believe. And so I once went and heard Dr. Caroline Leaf speak, and she's like a neuroscientist. So she's all about the study of the brain. And she's a Christian speaker. And so she really believes that we have this ability to like quantum think and very um, incredible concepts. And so she teaches that like changing your thoughts can actually reshape your brain and it will break toxic patterns. And I think most of us can acknowledge that if we identify toxic patterns in our life, we'd like to break them, but are we taking action to break them? Right? What do we do in the moment when we have a negative thought? We have to take that thought captive and we have to cause it to submit to what we know is true by speaking life over ourselves. So when you think about, you know, there's so many different athletes and things who do this visualization technique, right? You know, people that go off to the Olympics and they start to imagine their winning moment, and they see themselves at the end of the race, and they run through it ahead of time, and they've not visualized, but they imagine what all the obstacles could be and right, like, but we can get so lost on that. Imagine that you're like one of those runners that like hurdles over those things, and you visualize that you trip, you smash open your shin, you fall over this thing, and it completely changes your race. Are those the kind of things that we're putting up in our own mind? We're putting up these like hurdles and obstacles and roadblocks that we let bring us to a halt. And we just imagine like our life is destroyed because we didn't move past the mark where we thought we could move past. So, if you reflected on the negative self talk that you probably have given yourself at some point in time, or the limiting beliefs that have maybe been imposed on you or you have chosen to accept, right? I'm not good at sales. I'm not good at this. What is it? And I want you guys, if you're comfortable, to share that in the chat. What are the things that you tell yourself? I'm not a good mom. I'm not organized, right? I'm not in shape. Like, think about those things, because let's take them captive and let's think about how we can convert these to think about things differently. So what limiting belief has held you back from stepping into leadership? What do you tell yourself about why you're not good enough to be the Ashley Olive and the Aaron Clark and you know, who is it that you look up to in terms of John Maxwell? Who is it that you look up to in terms of leadership, but yet you tell yourself that they couldn't do what they do? I love that. My dancers do a visualization before they dance. I don't want to be on stage. Oh, Jenna. Oh, Jenna. That's a good one. You'd excuse yourself from creating the success because, well, I didn't want to be on stage anyways, right? We do that. I am lazy. I am a procrastinator. I am just not good enough. Yeah. We start to believe these things the more that we say them, the more that we think them. And we almost excuse ourselves out of things. People don't trust me enough. When do you feel the most self-doubt in your life? What triggers that for you? I don't have a ton of followers. I'm not social. I'm a procrastinator and not organized. My brain tries to tell me I am too busy. Yes, these things are like a reality for all of us. And that's what I think is cool, is that when we come here together as entrepreneurs, we're all going through this. If you went through and you liked each of these comments that you've thought at some point in time, you named off my list, not a good mom, not organized, not a saleswoman. Yeah. We tend to believe these things. So, what would you do if fear was no longer part of your thought process? How would you respond to these thoughts when they come in, right? It's like, no, I'm going to take this thought captive. I'm going to make it bow to the reality of what I know I'm capable of and go back to that. I am so grateful and thankful that I am in the process of becoming this, not I can't do that, right? And we just start to change our language because as we rewire our brain, those positive affirmations and visualization is really going to have a powerful role in how quickly we move beyond it. I'm a long ways from the stage, so just do it anyways. Cross that bridge when you get there. And you know what, Jenna, too? It's sometimes we need to take baby steps and we need to put ourselves in an environment so that we start preparing, right? Visualize that one day you are going to be on stage giving a speech, and that might overwhelm you completely right now. But how can you step that back? And what can be the first step? Because that's kind of the top of your staircase, right? And we get so fixated on staring what's at the top of the staircase that we forget that there's a million steps between here and there. And we can start to do those, the 1 degree shift that doesn't feel overwhelming right now, but has that huge impact later down the road. So again, there are tons of people out there like Jim Carrey and Oprah Winfrey, and like so many stories I'm sure you've heard at some point in time that you can start to visualize, and they did the same, and it helped them get closer to their success. I love this. Miranda shared Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. That is powerful. That is really powerful. The plans of the diligent. Are we being diligent in what we're learning and what we're doing right now? Right? Just take it one day at a time. I've already made it through the worst times and days already. That's what, you know what? I have a little quote over here that says no bad days. And it was my best friend's grandfather's quote. And he would always say there's no bad days. He said this day um may not be the best, but it's better than some other days I've had. There are no bad days. Look for the good in your days. And I'm really grateful for his influence in my life in saying that, like, there's really no bad days. And I say to my kids every day, let the day have the best you. Because you can't choose how your day is going to look, but you can choose how you respond to what happens in your day. And so, being able to look out at our life and say, like, there are no bad days. Some are better than others, but there are no bad days, right? I'm having a really, really good day, or I'm having a just a good day, but there's no bad days, right? And when we tell ourselves that, we look for the good in every day. So, some trauma got me where I'm at, and I feel I can't ever share my story. So I block myself from getting in the position to talk about it. Wow, that is absolutely powerful because when you think about it, you have a story that is so unique. And I firmly believe that God lets us go through everything that we go through in life so that we'll be able to lead someone else through it who's going to go after us. And so there is someone else who's probably dealing with the exact same trauma as you, who needs to hear your story to inspire them that they can make it to the other side. So we're gonna work through some of these things. I need to improve on my organization. Yes, start speaking that. I am organized. So if you were to practically like just allow yourself to go down that path and you visualize your business is thriving, your team is growing, you open your back office and you see the biggest check you've ever had, and you're seeing your team have massive success. What are some of those things that you need to speak to yourself, right? And I think it's funny how you talk about Mama Bear when your kids negative talk. I am so blessed because my two teen daughters yell at me when I do negative talk and we go through affirmations together, right? It's true. It's like we get riled up like you're not allowed to talk to yourself like that, but yet we allow ourselves to talk like that. And so I love that you've trained your girls into being like, okay, mom, we're now going to get you back on track, right? And we need those people in our life who are going to shift our thinking. And if you know me, one like a phrase that I end up saying all the time is cancel, cancel, cancel. Because people will speak negative things around me, and I'm like, just don't even put that out there into the atmosphere. You got to cancel that out. And we do the same for our kids. So I love that they're doing that for you. But I mean, again, like when it comes down to us speaking affirmations, you guys know I'm going to come from that like faith-based perspective because I really believe that we were created for so much more. I know that I'm equipped for success. I know that if he calls me to it, he will get me through it. Even if I don't have the strength in my own self, I can lean on his strength and I'll have the strength to get through it. I know that I am called to lead and have influence. I know that I am bold and courageous. I don't always feel it, but I know that that's what I'm called to be. So, yeah, God doesn't create junk, right? We talk to ourselves like we're worthless or, we criticize every flaw about ourselves, but God created us perfect in who we are for the circumstances we're going to be in, the people that we're going to influence, all of those kind of things. And so we have to get into a space where we're creating habits through repetition. We're doing the same things over and over again, right? And this is not insanity, doing the same things over and over and again and expecting a different result. It's we're doing the same things over and over again, and we're getting clearer on the picture every time we do it, every time we think about it. We're starting to actually visualize it to a point where we can almost feel the emotions. And I'll say one thing. I believe that when you're doing your dream boards, it's not the thing you put on your dream board that motivates you. It's the why behind, it's the emotion, I should say, behind why you want that. Yes, I love the I am affirmations. That's kind of what I'm incorporating in as we go through these because I just I don't want to say like these random affirmations. I believe that we can speak affirmations that are stemming out of scripture because I know that's true about us. Um, and so yeah, I think, look at people who have created success in their life and just said, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to put myself in a situation where I'm going to learn the skills that I need to have. Elon Musk is one of those people who, like, he just, anything he wanted to learn, he puts his head down and he goes and learns it. And he learns it over and over and he repeats those skills until it becomes second nature for him. So we have to practically apply this every single day. That's why daily goal setting is important. What's on your calendar and your list of things that you're going to tackle today as you step out into your business? What are those things that you know are going to move the needle and take you one step closer to that success? What are the goals that you need to have for yourself? Because a goal without a plan is just a wish. And so writing down daily, like these are the things that I'm going to do, having a list to check off in your notes of your phone, printing off an accountability sheet, right? Having those small goals in front of you that are visual that you're like, okay, I know I moved the needle forward if I did this, and I got to realize that I actually haven't done this today. My sheet is blank, and that's why I haven't had the success that I, hoped for. And so we equally then can't sit around and gripe and complain about the fact that we don't have the success if we didn't do the work. But yet somehow our brain tricks us into thinking that we're working so hard and we've done all the things, and yet we're not getting the results when really we didn't allow ourselves to go down that path and really visualize it. We didn't make a plan to get there. So if we want to break through those limiting beliefs and those thoughts that we've had, if we want to get ourselves out of that habit, sometimes it's doing things like literally catch yourself in the moment and say, cancel, cancel, cancel. That is not my truth. That is not how it is. And I think I said this the other day, but Toya and I were on the phone, and there was something that she said, and I started to be like, ah. And she was like, never, nope, sorry, cancel. I take that back. Did not mean that. I was like, that's good. You're getting in the habit. Catch yourself, right? We have to practice it before it becomes second nature for us because our brain will always tend to the negative. And it takes, like, when you think about the neural pathways in your brain, if you think about it, like every thought that you have plants a seed that grows into a tree. Now, if you plant one negative seed, in order to, as that tree grows, in order to choke out that one negative thought, you're going to have to plant like 10 positive thoughts around it. And so it's not really enough that when we get to the point where we recognize we've said something negative, we have to catch ourselves and cancel that out. But we also then need to replace it with positive thoughts. So I challenge you to do that as you go through your day today. If you have a moment of frustration or, you start to tell yourself that you can't do something, I want you to stop and catch yourself and like speak 10 positive affirmations over yourself. And so there's this whole like, we talk about cycles and we want to be cycle breakers, right? And there is a cycle that happens where it's like thought is connected to emotion, which is connected to action. Yes, rebuke that thought in the name of Jesus. I love that. So true. But the thought, emotion, action cycle is like, we're going to continue to repeat that. Negative thoughts trigger fear and doubt, which lead to inaction. Positive thoughts lead to positive feelings, which encourage us to take action. So again, I think it was the other day I was talking about Sarah Blakely, and she's the founder of Spanx. And she rewired her fear of failure by celebrating her mistakes and reframing failures as learning opportunities. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's, I say to people all the time, like if you've got a team chat, if someone comes into the team chat and says something negative, it's not like you're not allowed to have that thought. Or maybe it's a friend in your life that calls you and they tell you something negative. It's not a bad thing to have, to give yourself a minute to acknowledge that you're having that thought. But what's the lesson in it? If we look for the lesson, then it was a positive thing and we get to move forward. And so I love how in her story, she's celebrating her failures, right? Because every failure moves us forward. And so let's encourage each other to do that too, to say, well, I screwed that up, but what I learned from that is, I learned I'm never going to do that again, and we can change it up. And so we can have this whole thought replacement strategy, like I'm saying, where it's kind of like one negative tree and you got to choke it out with positive trees. It's the same thing. You're going to take the negative thought, you're going to replace it with a positive thought. You're going to take your limiting belief. I'm not good at sales, and you're going to replace it with truth. I am learning. I am growing. I am a confident, authentic sales leader, right? Like you're going to reframe it into a way where it's something that's positive and you're speaking life over it. And then you're going to speak that life every single day and also required to take the bold action to actually make that your reality. It's also why gratitude is so powerful, guys. Like, I hope that you get up in the morning and you like maybe make that the first thing that you do in the morning. Before you look at your phone, before your feet hit the floor, think about the things that you're grateful for. And I know that that would have a huge impact on all of us. And maybe that's what we should do is every morning get in here and write 3 positive affirmations into the chat. Because we never even give ourselves time. We tell ourselves we don't have time for anything. And we don't even give ourselves time, which would take like what, 10 seconds to have 3 positive thoughts. And that can shift everything for our day. But yet we just continue to plod along where we don't actually carve out and create these new habits. So if you were to start a gratitude journal and you were to write down 3 things that you're grateful for today, I want to encourage you guys to just go ahead and do that. We should have done that at the beginning, but write 3 things that you're grateful for. Maybe it's in your business journey. Maybe you aren't there. So write down 3 things that you're grateful for in your parenting journey or in your entrepreneurial journey as a whole, right? What are things that you are grateful for? And it can be the lesson. You can be grateful for the lesson of a failure. So start to think about that. And I'd love to hear what you're grateful for today. Because when we start thinking about the things that we're grateful for, we start to attract more of that. And we can reflect on our progress. And like I said, we can celebrate the win or we can celebrate the failure and look for the lesson in it and have that concrete thought of like, this is what I will never do again, or this is what I learned from that that I will apply moving forward. I'm surprised. I'm like, okay, guys, come on, bring yourself something positive here. I love it. Okay, here they come. I tell myself something about myself that I love. Yesterday, I told myself that I loved at 60. I am learning how to do a new business and I'm still teachable. I absolutely love that, Renee. You're coachable. That's the most important thing that you can be in a growth journey, right? Is be coachable, be open to it. And it's never too late for us to learn something new. I'm grateful my friend Janelle introduced me to Mela. So a reminder to pay it forward. Yes. Right? How many times do we tell ourselves people don't want to hear from us? People are going to think that we're being pushy. People are going to feel a certain way. When really, look back at your own journey. I'm so grateful that someone was bold enough to message you, right? I love that. Keep going. I'm grateful to be alive and have good health. I'm grateful to have you in my life. I'm grateful for my wonderful daughters and to have a family full of love. Yes, we have so much to be thankful for. I am so thankful for you too. And that's it. I believe that God puts different people in our path to help us have the mind shift that we need sometimes, or to give us the sounding board that we need sometimes. And so be grateful for the people that you have in your life and seek to be that person for other people. And don't underestimate the small things. I'm grateful to be alive, right? I'm so grateful our paths crossed, Barb. Who would have thought we'd sit together at Quest? And now that's right. I'm so excited to be on this journey with you, Devin. I'm like, how cool. We get to start our days together and, set our minds for the future. And we're going to create something really powerful. We're going to lead a lot of people. We're going to do that together. And, having someone that's going through the same stages of the journey that you're on, I think that's the coolest part, right? My minivan, my kitchen, my resolution to stop comparison and trust myself. Oh, I'm proud of you to hear that, Miranda. Definitely, right? Stop comparing yourself. That's it. You are your unique self. You have gifts and talents to bring and offer to the world. So focus on that. I'm grateful for my support system at home. I'm learning to be a leader and more confident. Even though I'm older, 55, I'm still very young at heart, and I want to spread it to everyone. Yes, love that. I'm grateful that my home is healthier and share with others what I like about all the changes. I'm grateful for all the lessons I learned going through 9 years of divorce court. Ooh, those you could lead a whole week-long session of mindset, I'm sure, on all the things you learned. Grateful for teenagers that still think their mom is cool enough to hang out with. Oh, that is special. I know. My boys still kiss me goodnight, and I'm like, it's the greatest thing ever. I hope this never changes. But, we get so focused on like life moving forward and our kids going through those stages. And, when you're like, I just wish they were independent and I didn't have to make their lunch every day. And then one day you're like, I just wish I could make lunches again. So, love these reflections, guys. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate the interaction and hopefully you appreciate actually taking the time for yourself to process these thoughts. Because at the end of the day, our brain is designed to change, but we have to take intentional action. We have to create these mindset shifts, and we can rewire our brain for success. So when you wake up in the morning, I want you to speak your gratitudes. I want you to visualize, what your success is going to look like. Imagine all the lives that you're going to change in the process of you getting there. And if you have a hard time making things about yourself, when you think about success and that's what gives you that like ick feeling, make it about other people. How many people is it going to take for you to get to where you need it to be? I knew at least 1,000 lives, 1,000 families had to be influenced and changed and improved in order for me to get to executive director, right? It wasn't so much about my goal. It was like how many people, there's going to be at least 10 people that have gone director. Like put your focus on other people and it can help move you forward. I'm grateful for two babies after infertility, for a home after living in an RV for 3 years. Yes, Suze. Although that RV came in handy for me. We're currently living in a life we prayed for, and I am forever grateful. Yes, right? It's so true. It's like we are living out at least one of the dreams and prayers that we have had over the years. And sometimes we don't even stop and acknowledge it. I have a huge bathroom mirror. I'm writing my affirmations today. Love what you said about first thing and last thing I see. It is so powerful, Becky. I cannot wait to hear how this shifts your day. And I'll tell you something that's really interesting is I started writing my affirmations down. I went into my daughter's bedroom and she had post-it notes all up over her mirror with her affirmations. And it was so cool. And that's it. Our kids are watching what we're doing. Our kids are watching how we speak to ourselves, how we speak to other people, how we speak about the situations that we go through, right? And I get it, guys. Like oftentimes your spouse or your partner is the person that you're the most comfortable with, you spend the most time with. They're the easiest person to vent to. You know, you guys go off and you do your separate days and you come home and at the end of the day you're sitting around the dinner table and it's like, "Oh, you're not going to believe what happened today." Right? Who's been there? And you share some story about the frustrations of the day and like that's not really serving either one of you. Unless you're sharing it from a solutions oriented focus. So, same thing. Think about it. Think about what your kids are taking in that moment when they're sitting there and they're hearing us whine and complain about things in our life. Are we talking about what we learned from it? How we're going to act differently moving forward? We can help our kids create those coping strategies or choose to have a positive perspective. And I absolutely love it now when my kids catch me in a thought or in a comment that, you know, I shouldn't be making. Um, and they pull you in real quick as soon as they give you a little bit of correction. And I'm grateful. Sometimes I'm like, God's still speaking to me through you today. That and that's what we need because we hear it better. So all right. Well, I'm going to encourage all of you guys to write your affirmations today. And um, if anybody wants biblical affirmations, let me know because I have really been diving into that lately because I think it's so powerful. Um, I don't want to just like not speaking to the universe. For me, it's my faith. I know that God created me with the capability to do anything that I put my mind to. And so all things are possible. And absolutely. Yes, I will definitely send those your way, Suze. So, all right, as we move out into today, we're going to visualize success in the mornings. We're going to speak our gratitudes in the mornings. We're going to speak faith-based affirmations. Like, I know that I am anointed for success. It's not just I'm capable of creating it. I was actually created for that. I am anointed for success. I am a leader who adds value. I am a light to others. Those are my goals. And so I need that. Okay, message me on Facebook, and then that way I can send them over to you guys. Um, so yes. And then I want you to track your progress and show up and take advantage of opportunities like this where we can share with each other our little wins. Our brain will believe what we tell it, right? So make sure that what you're saying is that you are unstoppable. You are capable. Absolutely. I will gladly share them. So just send me a message. Um, So I want you to just say out loud, even where you are right now, I am rewiring my brain for success. I am creating new thought patterns. I am called to make an impact. Love it. All right. Well, I would love to just open it up. And if there's anybody that's having an aha moment, or maybe you're wrestling with a thought and you want to share, I'd love to open it up and hear from some of you guys.
Okay, I don't know if I'll get cut off because I'm driving. My my car does this dip. So we'll see what happens. But good morning to all the queens on the call.
Good
I'm
morning.
Latoya Messiah, and I am here trying to make it through my first Monday back since March break, and it's been a doozy already this morning with my kids. And I'm just trying to like go through it. And as I'm listening to the call, it's probably saved them from any venom that I might have this morning because I'm usually pretty positive and I try to like laugh at myself and laugh at the kids and like do other things. But there are days where I'm just like, there is no laughter in this mama. I'm like, somebody's gonna catch a case. And you know, right now listening to all of it, like all of these things, it's like I can literally hear correction over and over and over again in my mind about where God wants me to be and what He wants me to be doing. And I know that, like I wrote in the text, in this, pardon me, in the chat, that I need to work on my organization. But it's beyond just like business organization. It's like in my home too. Like I feel like yes, spring is coming and people now we do the spring forward cleaning and we get into this regime. But like also the reality of like sometimes the busyness taking over, like allowing myself to have the cleanliness that I want and to allow my kids to see that because it's a lot of times like I'm dealing with a big age group gap with our children and it's like I feel like at times my mom voice, my husband's voice is falling on deaf ears. It's like they're tired of hearing certain things. And so I'm calling people out on doing certain things. And then I'm like, but I'm not doing exactly what I want to be doing either. So it's like that whole thing of trying to find balance. And so I think this morning, that's what I'm wrestling with because I know that it also affects how I do my business um, as well. So I don't know if any mamas out there have had the same struggle and desire to share their tips and tricks with me this morning, or some of us on here who believe we're anomalies going through that by themselves. I know I'm not. It's just you can feel that way when it can get a little bit overwhelming. So yeah, that's where I am at. But I think the organization is going to flip so much in my household as well as in my business.
Mhm. No, I think that's a constant struggle. I think being being a mom, I don't know how we just accumulate so much stuff in our lifetime, right? And like, you're like, it's my husband has this whole theory of like, one thing in, one thing out, and it's a really great idea. But it's like, every time I want to bring a new mug home, he's like, "All right, so which mug are you getting rid of?" And and I mean, if I did that, I probably wouldn't be in such a shape. But I think it's true. Like we can feel disorganized so easily, and a cluttered mind or a cluttered life gives you a cluttered mind. And it's true, it can be such an obstacle in so many different areas. And we can make all the excuses. And again, we can like make our list of priorities, and then it ends up being like the bottom priority. But sometimes we need to acknowledge that if we do that thing, the ripple effect that it's going to have on everything else. And I mean, I will say that I love that we work for a company that has some amazing products that as we organize and clean, you could be making some reels and, creating business content and looking at it from that positive that you get to do that in the process of also getting more organized. And and it's true that like sometimes we just need to purge. We need to reorganize a closet. Our whole life feels better when we do. And maybe make it something that you incorporate your kids into. Give them a small area that they can work on and you work on an area. And it's like you're transferring those skills and you're teaching them that that needs to be a priority. That's going to impact them positively in life. Now, it may take longer than you wanted it to take. It may cause you frustration in some aspects, but again, you're teaching life skills and you're setting a great example in your home. So I know that you can do that. And if any other mamas have ideas or suggestions on ways that you go about it, feel free to share because we learn from each other. Pretend you are moving. Oh, I love it. That helps me to purge. What do you really want to bring along? Okay, well, I'll share something with you guys. And this is not really like public knowledge um, in my life right now, but our house is on the market right now. And so we had like a deadline to get our house on the market. And so it just makes me giggle, Becky, because when you said that, like pretend you're moving and it really helps you to purge. Like I purged out more in 3 days than I have in 3 years. It was like, it was so much easier to let things go because you have a deadline and you gotta go, right? And so maybe we need to impose those over ourselves to say like, okay, I gotta get this house cleaned out. I gotta get this passed along. And find a good cause to donate to. I'm really grateful. Our kids go to a little private Christian school and they run a thrift store. And so everything that you donate at the thrift store, 100% of the proceeds go back to my kids' school. And so I was like, oh, it's for a good cause. I could do it. I could let go of that. You know, if I have to rebuy it again, it's fine. It went to a good cause. So give yourself some grace with something like that, right? And know that it's a positive when you can give it away. But I love that idea. All right. Anybody else? Anything else that you want to share before we close out this morning?
Sorry, you know what I wanted to add, Barb? I
Yeah.
think sometimes we make our list way too long. So a girlfriend of mine used to deal with the same kind of overwhelm. And I spoke to her like last week and she said, stop writing a list of 10. You that already you start your day with opposition. When you look at a list of 10 things that you have to do, most likely you're only going to do two of them well, maybe a few others mediocre, and then the others you're just not going to get to. So she's like, you're better off knowing that you have a general like list of 10, picking three for the day, and if you complete those, then go back to that list and try to say, okay, maybe I have time, like 2, 3 hours before the kids come home, either be intentional about myself and like have a coffee without interruption or sit down and do something for my business or something like that. Or I could add one more thing so that it's not on my tomorrow to-do list. So that I found fruitful. I'm working through that one. I've been good at writing down the three, but I find that I now am choosing the most difficult three, thinking I'm leaving myself with the easiest. Maybe I should swap and do the easiest so I can see that the completion can be done. That was my other thought.
I do. I love that. That it's true, right? Don't bite off more than you can chew. I noticed a comment that Miranda shared in the chat. She said, look into Dana K. White. She has a book called Jesus Doesn't Care About Your Messy House. Maybe we all need to listen, read that, and give ourselves a little bit of grace too. But I think it's true, right? It's um, if you've ever read the book Eat That Frog, and they talk about like kind of compartmentalizing all the list of tasks that you have to do today, or if you went through and you took your list of 10 and you allotted them as like an A, B, or C task, what's going to move your life and your business forward the most, and then choose to take those two and make them your focus for the day, I think is really, really very powerful. So, all right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go so we can get on with our days, but I'm just going to close this out with a blessing. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day and week ahead. I will say a quick reminder in case you haven't seen for anyone that is working on Fast Track, we have double points today. So that's exciting. And we also have last day of $1 enrollments. So unless you joined January or later. So take advantage of that today, right? No one else is going to create the urgency. People don't know what they don't know. And this necessarily is not the most top of mind thing for all the people that we've been talking to. So be bold and courageous and maybe speak some affirmations out over the responses that you're going to get today, the points you're going to build today, whatever that looks like. And it can be really powerful. So all right. Well, dear Lord, I just thank you for getting us through the weekend and bringing us here so that we can come and connect with each other. I thank you, Lord, that you're just creating this community where we can recognize that we're not alone in the journey and that we all face similar challenges and trials as we seek to grow. And I thank you, God, for the stretching that you put us through. That as much as it's uncomfortable, it shows us that our capacity is greater than we even know. And so I just ask that if there's things that you're highlighting for us in our lives, things that maybe we've been speaking over ourselves, help us to take those thoughts captive and to just question where it's coming from and what the solution to it can be, and help us to take action as we move out and create the life that we know that we're capable of having. God, I thank you that your plans for us are good. And as we go into this week ahead, that you would just go before us and that you would guide us to the things and the places and the people that we are supposed to connect with. And Lord, I just thank you that you can give us peace through everything, and that when we don't know what's ahead, you do know the future. And so I pray that we can just trust and rest in you. Thank you for the opportunity to just speak life over ourselves. Thank you that you've created our brains in a way that we can rewire them. And so I pray that you'll just give us the strength to do that, give us positive thoughts and affirmations, help us to notice and to catch ourselves in the moments when we start to speak death over ourselves or, set an example that we wouldn't want our children to follow. And I just thank you that you are the good father that set a good example for us. So we thank you for this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, guys, have an amazing day, and I will see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. All right, have a good one.